But then it's almost like it's this is a new one. It might end up just being Balut. You know
Being what?
Balut is?
Balut?
Balut.
No.
They're fermented eggs with like half. I want to say it's either chicks or ducks, but like it's a Filipino dish.
This is a podcast from the Queen City Podcast Network.
It's time for the motherfucking Nerd School podcast, bitches.
Nerd School in session, bringing knowledge, no aggression.
You're damn right, it's time for the motherfucking Nerd School podcast.
Thank the sweet, sweet Lord above, we get more Nerd School podcast up in this bitch.
It is time for you to learn the true purpose of your mission. You were sent to Earth to bring forth the celestial Tiamat. Every billion years, new celestials must be born. I plant celestial seeds into host planets across the universe. The planet Earth was chosen to host the celestial Tiamat. In order to grow, Tiamat needs vast amounts of energy from intelligent life. The Deviants prevented this by consuming humans until the Eternals eliminated them. Now, the human population of this planet has reached the required amount. It is time for the emergence to begin.
Nerd School in session.
Yeah, so Andy and Susie are fostering a puppy. I don't know if we call it fostering, but they're
Dog sitting?
No, they're keeping a dog for 18 months that is training to be a service dog.
Ah.
So it lives with them while it's learning. And I don't think they have to teach it because I don't think they have any expertise on teaching dogs how to be a service dog. But I think it has to live somewhere at night and stuff. And I guess I don't really know a lot about it, except that he posts a couple of videos with our family chat, was like, hey, we have 4 dogs right now. And they're just, and one of them's a puppy. And I guess they flew it from California to Raleigh, and he had to drive to Raleigh to get it or something. So it was in a crate all that time, so it's a puppy. So, and it's adorable, but, and allegedly if a big percentage of these service dogs fail, and then the foster family gets first dibs if they fail.
Oh.
And so he said, but there's all these foster families that try to get them to fail so that they can keep them. And so he's hoping that they don't fall into that trap because they're trying to teach it to be a service dog. But
there you go.
But it's adorable.
Like an 18-month attachment, though, wouldn't you?
That's
fall
hard.
in love?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's an adorable dog, and they're
foster animals and humans long term. You go into it knowing this is the deal.
Yeah, eventually leave.
Have you ever fostered kids, TBJ?
I would be a fail. I know myself enough to know it's already hard for me working with children not to take home other people's kids. And not just like when you see kids in need, you're like, if I could just convert that 1 bedroom, or if I could turn my garage, and so I'm not allowed to watch when they do like adoption stories on the news and stuff like that, because then I really start trying to figure out how can I have space.
How can I get these people?
That's how I have all my pets. I did not actively seek to have pets.
Oh yeah, people came to you.
They weren't fostered, but what happened is something happened to the dog itself or its dog parent that was tragic. And then I saw the tragic story, and I ended up now with 1 dog and 2 damn cats.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a lot for a condo.
Well, now the second cat we just got this summer and has gone to the dorm with my youngest child.
Oh, okay.
Part-time here, part-time dorm.
Yeah, they can have a cat in the dorm?
He is an emotional support cat.
Cool. That's good.
We had to get a letter from his the psychiatrist.
But that cat didn't have to go through any kind of training to become.
No, it just has to be adorable and can calm him down.
Well, that's cool. All right. Well, we're here to talk about the Eternals.
Eternals. Man, that movie was
Andy's missing.
2021. Seems like a lot longer than that.
You feel like it felt like longer ago?
Something in my brain wants to think that some of these movies are ancient, but they're not. So half of my brain is like, oh yeah, that was forever ago. And I also think it's because it had Angelina Jolie in it, and she takes these gaps in movies that I think, oh, this had to be before she took a gap. It's not. It is indeed 2021.
I have a confession to make about this. I thought it was way sooner, but also I don't think I've ever seen an Angelina Jolie movie.
None?
What about Salt?
Never
Girl
seen it.
Interrupted? That
Never
shit's
seen
good.
it. Don't even know what it is. My daughter was asking me about Girl Interrupted the other day. I've never seen it. I realized that she's like just one of the most famous actresses of our time, and I don't think I've ever seen her in anything. I
You
only
know who her
know
dad
her
is?
because of her celebrity status. Huh?
You know her dad?
Her dad?
Yeah, he's also very famous.
I know that she banged her. She supposedly was banging her brother, and then she met Billy Bob
Everyone
Thornton,
thinks she
and then
bangs
dated
her
him,
brother. She
or
married
married him.
Billy Bob.
and then they
married.
divorced, and then she married Brad Pitt and became Brangelina. But no, I don't know who her dad is. So Francis Ford Coppola? Oh, that's
No,
Sofia Coppola.
he can be creepy sometimes.
John Voight?
Yep.
It is John Voight?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I knew that. Yeah, he's creepy. And didn't he bite Kramer on Seinfeld or something?
I don't remember, but here's a thing about John Voight that I am waiting for True Crime TV to pick up. He was on the boat when Natalie Woods fell off the boat, and it was only him, Natalie Woods, and Natalie Woods' husband. And Natalie Woods had a really crazy fear of water, so it's not really believed that she was just walking around so he knows something. That dude knows something.
And so
I'm waiting for a True
remind
Crime
me who
episode.
Natalie Wood is.
West Side Story, the OG, all the classic. Joe,
I'm terrible at Hollywood stuff. You know what I mean? Like, this is why I'm here, is to learn.
she's also one of the classic American actresses.
Natalie Wood. She
of
was
that
murdered.
time.
I remember hearing about
Well,
the
it
murder.
doesn't say she's murdered. It
But
said
she
she fell off a boat accidentally. But the circumstances of her being on the boat, the timing of no one really putting in a call for it.
Oh, this is
all-
the 80s. This is the 80s, 1981.
Yeah. But you would know her if you watched her.
Oh, I know that face. I've seen her in something.
Yeah.
What's she known for? She was a child.
I know her most from musicals,
Actor?
which is West Side Story and Gypsy. Of course,
Oh,
she's
I
done
saw
many
West
other
Side.
things.
Oh, she's married to Robert Wagner.
Yeah, that's the third person on the boat. It's her, Robert, and Mr. Voight.
I feel
People
like
have
Robert
questions.
Wagner gets, it's like a lot of feel like he's more, to me, it just feels like he's the one more often than not. People are always going like, what happened to her? He knows. I feel like I hear more about him knowing more than
Yeah,
Well, I
John
think
Voight
he
killed
knows
her.
because I think even if it was an accident, it was an accident probably caused by him. I think my theory, Tiffany's theory,
Oh, she
is
got
Mr. Voight
hypothermic.
was his homie and is covering for him because John has no reason to have gone for Natalie or hurt Natalie, but marriages, conflict, all the other things that happen in between. There's more, and statistically, it's always the husband.
So there's a movie. There's a movie about this, right? About this whole boat thing, isn't there?
I've never watched it. I
okay.
just know the story.
I remember this story being out.
Waiting
Yeah.
for something to come out later in life while he's on his deathbed. I think he's gonna say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I've been
Or
holding
will,
on to this."
or will he never say anything and we'll never know? Yeah, she.
I keep hoping.
Yeah, I think I remember her from Gypsy and West Side Story, which I haven't seen, but I remember her picture. That's it. I did see West Side Story. I tried. I slugged through it.
Gypsy's one of my favorite musicals.
I don't like musicals. I can't stand musicals. I'm trying to, that's
Why
why I
not?
want. So I was
So
trying to
weird.
go through all the Best Picture movies, like from the beginning. You know, I had a Netflix thing where they'd send you the DVDs, and I was watching all these old ones from the 40s and stuff.
You know, like
And
you look like Danny Kaye and
oh no, I got to the musicals and I was just like, oh my God, somebody shoot me.
you don't think they're catchy?
No, when they start singing,
Some are so
I
good.
can't take it seriously anymore. I'm like, okay, it's not real. It just broke my, like, I was into it.
What when they're
like,
singing intimate songs that are heart wrenching? You don't feel that?
no, I fall asleep immediately.
Ugh.
And then I wake up and I want to snap my own neck. Sorry, people that love musicals. And I hate that kind of music that's in musicals too. That's the other problem. If they were all
It
Hamilton,
varies.
if they're all hip hop, it'd be cool.
I think you watch the wrong ones.
So speaking of shitty things I hate, Eternals. Let's talk about the Eternals.
It's not a shitty movie, but let's talk about
shitty.
Eternals. No. It's not
Okay,
shitty.
I'm gonna try to do my version of a kind of a Tiffany's 30 seconds, but it's not going to be 30
It's never
seconds.
30 seconds. We should stop calling it that. It's a
Yeah,
speed
we should
through.
stop.
Tiffany's
Yeah.
speed through.
Kind of a speed through,
It's like
and then
a speed run.
and everybody can save their comments and discussion till the end because I have questions afterwards. But I'm gonna try to go through. I watched it for
Let's see if you can
last
get
3
like
days, and I had to keep turning it off because it's so long and boring to me. Anyway, but I'm also not a guy that knows the head. Okay, here we go.
Ready, go.
Okay, we get captions at the beginning of sorry, I'm terrible.
Can I just say this? Let me just say this.
Yeah.
I think what makes it seem daunting
is
TBJ has, and this is not a,
and she's great at it.
He has a lot of sass, which makes it easy for her to do it really fast. We don't have to do it fast. Like, take the time and just run.
Okay.
It may be a speed run or speed through. But
just a synopsis. It might not be fast.
He doesn't have to be as speedy as me because you can't be like me.
Yeah, and I can't be as cool.
Art.
Yeah, right. It's not gonna be as cool or as fun.
Pow, pow. You're like
okay. In the beginning, before everything that we know of in history came the Celestials, Arishem is the prime celestial who created the first sun and brought light into the universe. Life began and thrived. Everything's all good. Suddenly, a weird predators called deviants emerged from deep space to feed on intelligent life. And then we had chaos. To restore the natural order, some guy named Arishem, the prime celestial, sent Eternals, immortal heroes from planet Olympia, supposedly, to eliminate the deviants. That's all text that we see at the beginning. Eternals had unyielding faith in Arishem until one mission led by Prime Eternal Ajax changed everything. That's all just a prologue text that we read. Now, the movie starts. Cut to a floating patio square in space, drifting past the sun. Inside is a giant red robot with 6 eyes, and he's dropping an orange drop of spooge, and it lands directly onto Penelope Cruz's chest, and it kind of activates her, and she says, "It's time." And we're guessing that's Arishem, the big robot. Then all these random ancient people in nightgowns each walk to their own spot on the wall with wacky golden spaghetti wires coming out of the wall and drawing designs all over their bland gowns. One of them is Kumail Ali Nanjiani. He's a comedian. He's hilarious. He was also in Star Wars. Oh, shit. Another one's Paperboy from Atlanta. That's a great show. Got to get that Paperboy. Oh, shit. And there's Angelina Jolie. She's like the most famous actress in history, yet I've never seen one movie or show she's done. And then, of course, there's a boring white guy in a blue suit and a hot Asian lady, and they're going to be in love. I'm Icarus. I'm Circe, they say to each other. Oh, look how pretty Earth is. Cool, let's go. Closing on Earth, and we see oceans. 5000 BC, Mesopotamia is where we're at. We see a crazy monster appear out of the ocean and eat a caveman who's fishing. Right before he can eat his son, a beam of light blasts him, and here we see dumb white dude shooting a laser from his eye, and of course, he's basically Homelander. Then we see more of these heroes in fancy-looking suits using laser-type magic to fight these beasts. Looking like this might be cool, right? It might be a cool movie. I don't think so. Cool Asian guy punching, and then Johnny making laser balls and throwing them. And then Angelina making laser staffs. A sexy deaf girl hero is speaking to others with sign language and run real fast. Anyhow, their big fat, flat, square patio brick spaceship appears, and all the Eternals float off of it and approach the cavemen. One's a kid, and Circe takes one of the primitive tools and turns into a gold dagger. And then we get the Marvel opening credits. Jump to present-day London. We see Cersei in contemporary clothes using a cell phone while Pink Floyd plays. Oop, she's running late. Turns out she's late for a class that she's supposed to be teaching. Luckily, Jon Snow's covering this class. They're flirty to each other. Then an earthquake hits, and she has the power to vaporize things because a giant artifact falls off the wall and almost kills a kid, but she touches it and it goes into dust. So we know she has powers. Then we see a monster rise up out of the water. Cersei and Jon Snow are dancing and drinking beer. And then some woman morphs into a child eternal that we saw earlier. She's called Sprite. Jon Snow wants Cersei to move in. They're lovers. And then he says he thinks she's a wizard because Sprite's been telling him stuff. And then a deviant jumps out of the water. We find out that Sprite's been telling Jon Snow all about him, but didn't think he believed her. But he said, you said you killed them all. Oh, you believe me? I do now. And now they're running from this giant monster. Sprite makes a bunch of illusions of herself and Cersei to confuse the beast. Then D-Bag with laser eyes shows up to save the day. Cersei explains to Jon Snow that they're Eternals from a planet called Olympia. She's been here for 7,000 years to protect humans from deviants. Thought they killed them 5 centuries ago, but they're all back. And he said, well, why didn't you help Thanos? Why didn't you help in all the wars? Where were you then? She said, well, we couldn't, or else humanity would never develop. We had to just let them fight their own wars, and we can only intervene with deviants. Oh, what about this Homelander Icarus dude? Seems like you guys got chemistry. And she explains, well, we dated for 5,000 years, but he left, so I moved on with you, Jon Snow. Even though you've been alive for a sliver of the time I have, I thought it could work. And you make a cute giraffe. Then Eternals can't figure out how the deviant healed itself. That was a new thing. Deviants didn't used to be able to do that. Then so they decided, let's go find the other Eternals, see what the hell's happening. Cut to 575 BC in Babylon. All the Eternals are fighting all kinds of shitty CGI weird deviants, and this is what I didn't like, is that none of it looked real, looked like a video game. And they're supposed to be protecting Babylonians. Then Arishem warns Ajax, aka Penelope Cruz, not to get attached to the planet. Keep focused on the mission. She's like, oh, I love these humans. I love these humans. I don't know. No. Don't love humans. Focus the mission. We don't know what the mission is yet, but focus on the mission. The Eternals are getting antsy to help civilization advance, but Ajax keeps telling them, no, we have to let them advance on their own. Icarus and Cersei fuck on the beach. And then cut to 975 years later, 400 AD, they get married and in the Sanjay Gupta Empire. Talk about a long engagement. 975 years they're engaged. Fast forward to 1600 more years, and then they find Ajax dead in South Dakota in present day. They realize, oh shit, that deviant has Ajax's power of healing. And so all of a sudden an orange drop of spooge came out of her, that same one that was in her at the beginning, that she used to talk to Arishem out of nowhere, leaves Ajax and goes into Cersei. Arishem talks to Cersei and says, it's almost time. Back to 1521 AD, and Tenochtitlan, crazy civil war going on. Eternals having a little argument about whether or not they should stop genocide or truly not interfere unless it's deviants. What should we do? We got to stop these things. No, we got to let humans fight their own wars. Suddenly, Athena goes batshit, aka Mad Weeby. We talk about later some disease she gets, and starts attacking her fellow Eternals. Gilgamesh knocks her ass out. Only way to fix her is to wipe her memory, they decide, but she doesn't want to have her memory wiped. She wants to remember things. So Gilgamesh says, I'll just watch over her. I'll just keep knocking her ass out every time she goes crazy. Then Ajax tells everyone to split up and live normal lives, even though they're immortal, and someday they'll see each other again. They can share what they learned about Earth. Back to present day in Mumbai, Kingo's living it up, acting like Kajil Nanjali. I said his name wrong. Anyway, the comedian that I like, living it up, acting in a movie playing Icarus. Then they take his private jet to Australia to get Gilgamesh and Athena. Gilgamesh is making a pie. Athena goes batshit again until Sprite mind controls her to remind her who she is. Then they eat a big old meal and they sit around the table. And we're still only an hour into this crap. Time for some squeezing this into the MCU. Hurry up. Fit it in somehow, the director probably said. So Kingo says, hey, Thor used to follow me around as a kid. And then Sprite says, hey, now the Cap and Iron Man are gone. Who's going to lead the Avengers? Now it's an MCU movie. Cersei talks to Arishem and he explains, it's the emergence, duh. That's what's going on. It's the emergence. You were sent to Earth to bring forth another celestial, Tiamat. 11 billion years ago, every billion years, new celestials must be born. Arishem plants celestial seeds all over planets everywhere, and Tiamat was planted on Earth. Tiamat must feed on intelligent life to grow. See, that's what this whole thing's about. The deviants were stopping it by eating humans, so Tiamat couldn't grow. He needs to eat the humans. So you've done your job well by getting rid of the deviants, so this giant celestial can eat all the humans. You stop the deviants so we can grow enough humans to feed Tiamat. So now it's time for the emergence of Tiamat, and the Earth will be destroyed. Thank you. Good work. BT dubs, Olympia never existed, and none of your memories are real. I created you and the other Eternals. You're basically AI. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah. Also, I created the Deviants, too, and I kind of messed up that one. They were supposed to just kill everything, but not the intelligent people. But they evolved, and oops, got out of control. My bad. That's how I figured out I got to make sure things I create can't evolve, so that's why you can't evolve. Sorry. Anyway, see you later. You're in charge. And then all this is summarized by Khalil Nanjiani. Hey, we're fancy robots and our memories are stored in space? Yeah, and Arisham made the deviants. Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's what Mad Wyrie is. Are we good? Are we bad? Should we mind control Tiamat? That could be our plan. Yeah, we can just mind control Tiamat, and then we can stop this whole thing from happening. Yeah, but should we? Shouldn't we do what we're supposed to do? I don't know. We don't know. Let's find the rest of the Eternals and then decide. Let's get everybody else. So they go off to the Amazon, where Druig is mind controlling a whole town, and Druig says, "Fuck you guys, I'm not helping you." They all agree Druig sucks. Then Sprite decides. It's revealed that Sprite loves Icarus, and Icarus is about to explain why he left. But then deviants attack at the Amazon. Cersei turns one into a tree. She doesn't know how she did that. The deviant who killed Ajax sucks the power from Gilgamesh, then gives a speech about how Eternals are not saviors. You guys are murderers. Then Gilgamesh dies. That's a sad moment. We're all sad. But hey, what about Paperboy? We got to go get him. So flashback to August 1945 in Hiroshima. Fastos, aka Paperboy, blames himself for Hiroshima, however you say it, for giving technology to awful humans, and now we have wars. I shouldn't have given them all this technology. They weren't ready for it. Humans are terrible. Then we go to present-day Chicago, where Paperboy is now, and he's currently living in the sitcom My Two Dads, basically. He's got a partner and a kid, living a normal life, seemingly teaching his 8-year-old boy how to brush his teeth for the very first time. They convince him to leave his hubby and his kid to do what's right. We all know what's right is to stop the giant robot growing in Earth's core from eating all of humanity on Earth so it can create a bunch more universes. Everybody knows that's right. Then we go to Iraq. They magically lift the patio square spaceship out of the sand, and Makari, the hero who was differently abled from before, is just chilling in the ship with all kinds of artifacts and books she's collected throughout time. Oh no, only an hour left of this fucking movie now at this point. Quick, we need a product placement. Oh, hey, let's throw some Twinkies in there. Oh, quick, we need a romantic subplot. Oh yeah, Makari and Druig are hot for each other. That's a romantic subplot we got to tack on. Then Paperboy comes up with a plan to make bracelets for everyone to unite all their power into one giant mind to stop the deviants. That's the only way they can do it. They can't agree if they should do it or not, though. And who's the leader? Ajax puts Cersei in charge. Yeah, but Icarus is a white guy. Maybe he should be in charge. He looks like Vanilla Ice, so naturally, we got to follow him. Then Icarus starts remembering, oh, yeah, wait a minute. 6 days ago in South Dakota, Ajax told me she didn't want to follow Arisham's plan because she fell in love with humanity. And so she was going to bring everybody back together to stop him. But alas, Icarus is a rule follower, and Irisham made the rules, and he's got to follow them and stop Ajax. So he basically feeds her to the deviants who are frozen in ice, and the global warming caused by the emergence is now melting them. And so they somehow take her immortality away from her and take her power. Now back to the present. We figure out Icarus is working for Irisham and the original mission, which was only trying to keep Eternals from being killed by deviants. He says, I'm out. Sprite goes with him. Kingo says, I'm with Icarus, but I won't fight. See you later. I'm out of here too. All is lost, but Cersei can turn deviants into trees. So, of course, they can win now, right? Why? I don't know. Who knows? New idea. Paperboy should try to rip that spooch sphere from Cersei and repurpose it to do that thing they were talking about earlier, making bracelets and sharing energy. That'll work. Even though earlier we needed every single one of us to do it, now there's only a few of us, but it'll probably still work. Oh, how the F is there still 43 minutes left in this movie, I said to myself. Anyway, Cersei, Malachi, and Doug, I can't remember if that's their names, they turn their bracelets on, and their powers start uniting into a giant orange ball, while Athena fights Icarus. During the fight, her bracelet turns on, and then Icarus goes and knocks Druig down, breaking the power of the bracelets. Icarus buries Druig in the mountains, then rips the spaceship in half, but Makari says, F you, and starts fighting him. But the volcano of emergency erupts, and they all turn their power towards stopping that. Then Makari and Icarus are still fighting, and they all decide to fight. They they all decide to fight Icarus to keep him busy while Cersei runs to the volcano to stop the emergence somehow. We don't know how she's going to do it. Neither does she, but she's going to try. Then the super deviant shows up and starts attacking Icarus too. Then Phastos helps Icarus. And they're like, why are you helping Icarus? Well, because we've got to stop that guy. They're all fighting the deviant, but they're still fighting Icarus. And then Phastos binds Icarus and forces him to be stuck on the beach there. And then Athena's in a cave fighting the deviant guy who speaks in her mind somehow. Then Ajax shows up to tell Cersei to stop. Oh, but it's actually Pippi Longstocking's illusion. Sprite's illusion, who looks like Pippi Longstocking. She's behind her and stabs her in the back, literally, because it ain't fair that she never got to love. She never got to grow up. She's stuck as a child. So, and then now suddenly, for some reason, Cersei can die, even though they're all immortal. And Sprite starts fast forwarding the emergence, making it happen faster. Then Druid knocks her down, and then back to Cersei stopping it again because now she's immortal again or something because her wound that from being stabbed in the back wasn't bleeding. It's just water coming out. So is she immortal? I don't know. Are they? Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Then the super deviant starts using Gil's voice and mind controlling Athena to stop fighting. About to suck her powers out, but she has a secret light dagger and chops his head off. Then the emergency has begun. We see the celestial peeking out. Cersei starts stopping it with her power of touch, I guess, trying to turn it into a tree or something. I don't know. Is that what she's going to do? Nobody knows. But oh no, Vanilla Ice breaks free of Paperboy's grip to run over and share some memories of the thousands of years of being engaged. Then he decides to help the mission because he remembers that he loves her. Love. Then they successfully turn Tiamat into a giant glacier. Icarus apologizes, then flies himself into the sun for some reason. Then Cersei says when she touched Tiamat, his energy went into her and joined the Unimind that they were building. Paperboy said, oh, that must be how he survived every other Celestial's emergence in the past, all these years. Druid suddenly is okay to continue the tacked on romantic subplot, comes out of the mountain. Then Cersei turns to Sprite and says, hey, I think I got some extra power left. I can probably just use that power to magically make you a real human, but you'll die someday. You want to do that? Yeah, okay. Then Paperboy goes back to his hubby and kid, and Punky Brewster goes to school. That's Sprite, goes to school. Cersei goes back to Jon Snow, who tells her he has a family history secret he's got to reveal. But before he can spill the beans, Arishem grabs Kingo, Paperboy, and Cersei and says, you have chosen to sacrifice a celestial for the people of this planet, so I have to take all your memories and watch them and see if it was a good idea or not, and I'll be back to judge. See you later. And then that's the end of the movie. Post-credit scene 1, Star Fox of Mystery Planet shows up. Eros and Pip. Don't know what the hell that's about. Hopefully you guys will explain it. And then scene 2, we see Jon Snow opening a box. It's a sword. He's about to touch it when a mysterious voice says, are you sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman? And then it ends. And I think all of this got dropped, and I don't know what the fuck I just saw.
Can I make one quick correction? Because I know people are yelling at you already.
Yes.
Not Penelope Cruz. It is Selma Hayek.
Yeah.
They're friends.
Yeah.
Wait,
who's Penelope Cruz? Like,
who's Penelope Cruz then?
Quite a few times.
They're friends. You might be a little racist because they're both Latinx.
Oh no, I thought it was Penelope Cruz.
No, it's Selma Hayek. They're two very different actors.
I think they're Selma Hayek. Who's Selma Hayek? Oh, wait a minute. I thought those were the same person all this time.
Joe.
Penelope Cruz married Tom Cruise?
Different vibes. They are friends, but they are different vibes.
I don't think I knew that there was two people.
Joe,
I thought that was Penelope Cruz, man.
No, it's Selma Hayek. Selma freaking Hayek. Also,
I don't know who Selma Hayek is.
Own. Joe, we are in the Marvel and Star Wars universe right now, but we're gonna have to just do here are famous actresses you should know.
I don't think I know who Selma Hayek is. I thought that was Penelope Cruz. Who's Penelope? Who's Selma Hayek?
Selma Hayek is also a fantastic actress who has been in 1,000 things.
I don't think I've seen anything she's done except Eternals now. Now, what has Penelope Cruz done? All I know about Penelope Cruz is she was married to Tom Cruise, I think, right?
She wasn't married. They dated for a while. She's with Javier Bardem or whatever.
Oh, wait, I don't know her either.
She came on the scene wide known when she did Vanilla Sky with Art's favorite actor of all time.
I never saw that either. I thought I saw my first Penelope Cruz movie. And I even looked up the IMDb a bunch of times.
No.
Are you sure it's not Penelope Cruz?
I'm more than positive. I know the difference between the two.
I don't know any
More.
popular actors.
They were around for much longer than this, sir. Their prime was years ago.
I know, but I don't. They did kind of movies that I don't see ever.
Oh,
I've never seen a single. I'm looking up Penelope Cruz right now. I don't think I've seen any of these.
You didn't watch Vanilla Sky at minimum for Tom Cruise?
I don't think so. Or if I did, I was stoned.
Probably.
I don't know. I hate Tom Cruise.
Oh, good. I don't think I knew that about you. Thank you.
American Crime Story. Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything she's done. And Selma Hayek, I don't think I've seen these either.
Have you watched?
I don't see a lot of movies, which is why I'm doing this podcast, is to learn about movies. I've seen The Eternals.
Yeah, she was on the scene way before The Eternals.
Now, I know I've seen one of them. I've seen Dogma. That was Selma Hayek.
Then you've seen her.
I knew her from something, but Drunk Parents, I've never seen that. Oh, well, my bad. I don't think I've ever knew the difference between.
Well, what we've learned on today's podcast is Joe can't tell any actress.
I can tell all Latinas look exactly the same.
Stop! You are not getting us canceled.
No, that's not today. I don't really think that. I just don't know those two actors.
God bless it. Pretty good wrap up. You added your own flair in there.
There was some flair, but I gotta say, when I first watched it, okay, so let me get to my questions real quick.
I got a movie for you, and it was like right on the tip of my tongue. She played Frida in Frida Kahlo.
I don't know what that is.
Joe didn't watch that damn movie.
I see it. I see it on the list. From Dusk Till Dawn.
And you didn't watch
watched in the 90s. I
that
probably
was another
watched
one
that.
I was trying to think of.
But you got to remember, in the 90s, I smoked a ton of weed. So
Joe, I smoked a ton of weed. you was doing it wrong. You was doing it wrong.
I smoked it through my butt.
A ton of weed, and you either play crazy amounts of video games, or you watch really. I don't want to say I love Frida, but you watch shitty type movies, and you remember that shit because you was high as fuck.
I don't have it.
I remember this.
I also have crippling ADD, so I was always thinking about 9 million other things.
But forgive me this one time.
Here are my problems with this movie, besides some of the shit I said. But so, like, some of the stuff just doesn't make sense. Like, do they even know what they're gonna do? Their plans are never like, oh, maybe we'll do this. Like, suddenly this can happen. And so it's like, are they immortal or are they not immortal? Sometimes they can die, sometimes they can't. Why doesn't Druig mind control the deviants? Why doesn't he just use that mind control on them? He never even thinks about that. All these deviants everywhere, just mind control all them. Why mind control all the people that fight them? Mind control them, make them stop. Why do Cersei?
It was just to show that his mind control really only works on humanity, whereas if you use it on a deviant, it's like why can't he just mind control Icarus?
Right.
Like some things are just too easy.
I guess it's just
so you don't want to make it so easy that it's like, it becomes laughable there. Like, hey, I could have just done that.
Yeah, because then the movie's over.
It's just like the whole. And sometimes you get funny bits from that, like how when I want to say it's Endgame, when Wanda comes down and she does what she does, and Okoye was like, "Why was she up there?" kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like she could have just while they were struggling, just wiped all of this stuff out. It wouldn't have worked, right? So George he could have just as easily been like, "This is what's going to happen," and they could all just live peacefully in the woods, cut off from the rest of the world, except for him apparently. Let's see.
Oh,
also,
boom!
I almost feel like I wanted to, because I knew you was doing this, give you some little stuff to add for your rundown. Like, this is just little nerdy stuff that you could have thrown in. You wouldn't know what the fuck you was talking about, but maybe some other nerds would be like, "Oh shit, is Joe's nerd cred getting stronger?" Or someone helping him out. But like when Sprite made the multiples of herself, the first time I saw that, I thought of Shadow Clone Jitsu, which is a Naruto thing, which is an anime thing where he does his
Shadow Clone Jitsu.
Shadow Clone Jitsu. where he can create more than 100 clones of himself who can actually fight as him. But as soon as you hit him, they poof.
So I Googled that and it took me to the Narutopedia.
No, Naruto, not Naruto.
Narutopedia? What the hell's a Narutopedia?
It's anime. You're not ready for that.
Okay.
You're not ready for that. But
I'm not ready for that.
Man.
Oh, by the way, I quickly Googled, do people confuse Penelope Cruz and Selma Hayek? And apparently the 86th Annual Academy Awards confused them.
Because they are also slightly racist and thinking all Latino women look alike. They also have two very different body structures. Like it's not easy to fool.
I don't think I've seen either one of them. Now I'll look at their body structures.
It's giving a little racist.
Racism vibes. I didn't mean it. I just haven't seen either one of these two in anything.
I
thought they both.
Different ones.
Yeah, I don't know that I knew who either one.
Their accents aren't even the same.
Well, I don't know either one of those either.
Well, I'm just telling you, even if the Academy Awards got it wrong, they were being a little racist too, because they again are
the Academy Awards
give off two completely different vibes as humans.
The Film Academy can't be racist.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Don't get me on a soapbox.
Okay, Artstar, back to your nerd cred that you had another one.
Well, that was that, and then I can't think of the other one right now.
Okay, I'll go back to my question.
The fact that you kept calling him Homelander Icarus.
Yeah.
And I already said it because I was like saying he also was Rob Stark. So both of them was in Game of Thrones.
Rob Stark?
Yeah. He died in the Red Wedding. Spoiler.
Oh, the son. The son.
Yeah. The prodigal. I almost said the prodigal son, the one son.
Oh, he was in. Oh, fuck. That was him?
Yeah, Richard Madden.
I didn't think I ever saw that guy ever before. Oh, now I feel bad for calling him a douchebag all the time. Because I loved Game of Thrones, but I don't know that I remember Rob Stark very much. Oh,
he was the oldest Stark
mind.
boy.
Yeah, okay. Oh, now I gotta look that up. Jeez, I haven't seen that in a long time. And my memory is bad. Rob Stark. Oh, that
doesn't make up for his douchebag behavior.
No, he's still a douchebag. He looks like Vanilla Ice, and he's Homelander-esque.
He murdered his own homie for.
Also, I'm surprised you didn't call out the fact that they mentioned, like when he was in Chicago with Paperboy's kid, how they called him Superman, which Superman in the MCU.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
and there was a quick glimpse of a Star Wars comic. So Star Wars are now in the MCU because.
Well, I feel like Star Wars because Star Wars has Marvel issues. Like it's one of those things. It's not that big of a stretch.
I mean, they're also all owned by the same big.
They're owned by the same, yeah. So that probably couldn't happen until Disney came in. But my other thing is, why do Cersei and Icarus? Why are they? They're AI. How are they falling in love? And they're robots. And why are they having sex? If they're creations,
they're not. They
human.
Are beings. No, they're beings.
Big.
They know they're not humans, but they're beings who evolve with time, just like
no, they don't evolve.
They do evolve.
You don't evolve
in their own timeline. Now he starts them over, but for the thousands of years that they're alive, they are forever evolving, as all beings are.
But he says, "I took away your ability to evolve. That's why you can never
after
evolve."
He changes over, but they have been evolving just the way the deviants. He can say that, but the deviants are also out of hand. So while he created them, you can't.
Well, that's what he said. He said because of the deviants, that's why he didn't let the immortals or the Eternals evolve.
Because you got like 3 couples out of this Eternals game, my dude. 3 very clear couples.
Yeah, and they're not. That's what I'm asking about. They shouldn't be able to do that because they can't evolve.
But what are you going to do for thousands of years? You can't couple with regular people, although Paperboy does. You tend to couple with your own kind. You're going to have feelings for your own kind. It is just what it is, Joe. Don't overthink it.
And then I also found like Sprite. Sprite is pined for Rob for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sprite stays a child and can't grow. But the rest of them did grow older, I guess.
No, they all came out. They're all
adults,
in that form.
And they had false memories.
She does ask. She says, "Why did he send me here like this?" So she does have a moment where she does.
And here's
ask
a little.
why
Here's
a little
side jaunt.
Yeah,
It's a cartoon called Steven Universe. There are these characters called crystal gems
I've seen this before.
come from space, and they're on. I'm guessing what Steven Universe's Earth is, but there's
Uh-huh.
one gem. I forget her name right now, but she's a small gem. Everyone else a big gem. She's like a small gem with all of this mouth, yada yada yada. Then another gem comes down who's big, and Jim's wondering why she hasn't grown. And he take her back to the place where the gems came out of the rock and earth, and she just came out early when she should have been there longer. But she should have been one of the biggest gems, but she's stuck at the same size as Steven Universe. So it's like her whole thing has always been like she feels bad because everyone else has grown tall, they've done this, and she
Yeah.
still looks like a child. Which they kind of, you know, Steven Universe is I feel like it's a show that's for kids, but it also has some adult stuff in it too.
Yeah. A
But
lot of
always
those.
just sitting there, it's like that whole like just because you're not growing, it tries to show that kind of like positivity
Was that
type
an
thing.
Adult
Which is
Swim
no, it's
cartoon or
no, it's
a
Cartoon Network. But it's
Cartoon
just sort of
Network?
like how, how they kind of sometimes talk to Sprite about certain things. But then also Sprite, even though she's not hadn't had a chance to grow, one of the reasons she was telling Jon Snow the stuff that he was telling, 'cause, like that's what kids do, right? Kids tell you like little secret stuff that they know that maybe they shouldn't be telling, but because they're comfortable around you, next thing you're like, yeah, my mom likes stealing chocolate from the freezer, whatever.
Even some of her immaturity
Yeah.
and the way she finds her, like it's very teen crush. And
Yeah.
Like when
uh,
I'm coming with you.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
she's still very much childlike, although she isn't. There's still parts of her that are childlike. But them other homies are better people than me because after you stab me, we
Yeah.
can't be friends no more.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, you just forgot about like not even an apology. Like the other guy felt so bad.
Cersei is kind, probably to a fault, because there are two people in this. No, sir, you wanted to kill me and my friends, and this girl actually stabbed me.
Yeah, the other
Please
guy
don't
felt
come
so
near me.
bad he flew himself into the sun. What?
Well, okay, that's another thing.
Well, that's the legend of Icarus.
Yeah,
Do you not know the legend of
you don't know about
Icarus?
Oh,
Icarus.
I do not.
So it's kind of like a callback. So like, okay,
Yeah.
well, he flew too close to the sun, he lost his wings, kind of thing.
It's a mythology. It's based on mythology.
Flew. That's why they said flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, so his
yeah,
penance
yeah.
was flying himself into the sun.
Oh, so that's why I got it. Duh, that's pretty dumb. I didn't know that, but I never paid attention to Greek, any of that shit.
I went down a rabbit hole of Greek and Roman
Did you?
mythology in middle and high school.
Did you? Yeah, you would love my friend Steve Bishop, the Gruff from the Gruff and Loud show. He's a big Greek mythology guy.
It's not the first time you said that about us.
You guys would be best friends.
But here's the thing: me and Steve are kind of like best friends, so that would make us by proxy.
Yeah, Artstar loves Gruff, and Gruff loves Artstar. Anyway, we're working on a show about Deborah Jo Rupp. Okay, but anyway, so the Steven Universe, that was all good parallels. That's good.
Okay,
You guys are helping me understand. This is great. This is why you guys are the greatest. So
Amethyst is the one I was talking about. She's the one that doesn't grow. It's Amethyst.
Okay, Amethyst. So I want to watch Steven Universe. Every time we talk, I get more shit I gotta watch. Okay. So why does Ajax need to heal anyway if they're immortal? Like, yeah, their healing is their power, but do they ever? And that's part of it. Is like I'm watching them all.
They can still get injured. She wasn't necessarily going to die, but she still is injured.
It just heals her wounds like Wolverine-ish, I guess. And then I started thinking as I'm watching them fight, I'm like, I feel like the stakes are a lot lower because they can't die because they're immortal, even though she ends up dying. But I'm just like,
they can die because Gilgamesh is dead. Like they can die.
Yeah, I guess Gilgamesh died, but only
they can also
suddenly,
just be brought back.
Not for 7,000 years.
But they can die.
Well, and that too, it's harder to care about an immortal person dying because they've lived for 7,000 years. So, yeah, I was sad Gilgamesh died, but I was kind of like, he had a good run. I mean, he had 7,000 fucking years.
It was a good death.
Yeah, and he's probably the last one I wanted to die because
I mean, I teared up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend it didn't.
Yeah, I didn't want him to go. I didn't believe he was dead. I was like, he's dead? They killed him? I thought they can't.
Well, because he absorbed all
Yeah.
all his powers.
Well,
I think
same
that
way
has a lot to do with it.
the same way Ajax was killed, I guess. Same kind of thing. Because that one has that power.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think those are the
also
things.
Ando, I guess he'll put his little comic thing. So I can just say that the Eternals are a Jack Kirby creation.
Okay.
So if you look at some of the older, like when they first came out, like it says Kirby. It's like so, but then even like their designs of their uniform are like callbacks to like early Kirby versions of the Eternals, like the golden spaghetti thing you talked about.
Yeah.
So like that's the thing. But then also in the comics, Deviants, and I think it was the first time when I went to the movies to see this, I was like, I don't know why they did the Deviants like that. We get something, we get somewhat of a semblance of what an actual comic accurate Deviant looked like when we see Crow, and that's the one who started talking, and the one that Athena was fighting.
Yeah.
He's an actual comic character. Looks nothing like that in the comic book.
Oh, really?
But like the Deviants were basically like almost like like how you have in X-Men, you have like you wear like the Morlocks or like some X-Men characters. How they're
Morlocks from the subway.
Yeah, they have like all these different type of sort of mutations.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the Deviants, they just look like monsters or they're like deformed creatures. They don't look
like mutants,
like alien tentacle monster things. They don't look like that.
Yeah, I see.
Like,
Yeah,
I was wondering why they had to do, especially with this being a Marvel property.
Yeah,
like we've seen Endgame, right? And like these creatures looked real crazy as opposed to like the ones we saw in Endgame who like the running around killing themselves. But it's like for some reason I felt like there was no reason for these. I guess these. Well, no, or maybe the tentacles was so they could sap the power from them.
Yeah.
But it felt like for some reason they wanted to really show them as the bad guys. So let's make a grotesque looking
kind of like a monster, like a badass monster alien.
Yeah,
movie.
also creating the visual of bad.
Giganto is a deviant mutate. So I don't. Andy might bring up some of this stuff.
Yeah,
but he has some shit dealing with the Eternals. Pip and Star Fox, Thanos' brother.
Yeah.
They have run-ins with like when they showed this, it was like okay, one it was Harry Styles, right? And then we'd already had been
I giggled at the Harry.
That was Harry Styles.
Yep.
I was gonna type that was Harry Styles as a joke because I thought that guy looks like Harry Styles, but it really was him.
We was already teased and shown Adam Warlock at the Volume 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. So like all of this Eternals was supposed to, like even now.
Wait, what does that have to do? What do those two things have to do with each other?
It's I don't know. It's space shit. It's Marvel. It's from the Marvel universe in space. But like Adam Warlock, Pip, Thanos, Nova, all Guardians of the Galaxy. All of these are properties. Like Pip has also been he was a creature that got transformed into that little short, I guess, Pip type character.
Yeah.
But like, he's had run-ins with Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer and Galactus.
So do we see him again, this guy, ever?
That's it. The way that this went off, it sets up like, okay, what's going to happen in Eternals 2? Because we get that voice that you hear is Mahershala Ali's Blade, which from what I understand, because of what happened in Deadpool and Wolverine, spoiler,
yeah,
Mr. Ali probably won't be Blade. It'll be Mr. Snipes. But then it's like there was, and then
I thought they already said this guy's cast as the new Blade.
right. But
What we thought.
this,
So we thought.
this was 3 years before we get Blade. Before we get Blade back.
Oh, right.
Blade,
Yeah, this was
him and
2021.
Ryan Reynolds didn't always see eye to eye.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So,
that's right. I keep forgetting this was back in 2021 because we're just watching it.
But
crap.
But Jon Snow is the Black Knight.
Right.
So it's like
didn't they scrap that whole idea?
We don't see. That's what I'm saying. A lot of this, when it went off, we got two stingers. We got the Star-Lord. We got the Star Fox thing, and then we got the Black Knight thing with Blade and the Ebony Blade thing going on.
Well,
and
you called those things stingers?
Yeah, so it was like an end credit, mid credit.
Oh, I know they were end credit, but I did never heard anybody call them stingers before.
I could have sworn Ando's used
that might be
quite a few times.
I'm sure that's right. That's a cool
I
word
like
I'm trying to learn.
But so it's like you've gotten it.
Yeah.
So these they came off as Easter chickens, but then also kind of sort of like Easter eggs. But then it's almost like it's this is a new one. It might end up just being Balut.
Being
you know
what?
Balut is?
Balut?
Balut.
No.
They're fermented eggs with like half. I want to say it's either chicks or ducks, but like it's a Filipino dish.
Oh
and
my
you
gosh!
Ferment these eggs.
Balut.
Balut.
A fertilized duck egg that is boiled or steamed and eaten from the shell. That's a new thing that Artstar just coined?
Right, because it's almost like these things are they're Easter eggs, but then they're also are they Easter chickens, but then they're almost dead on arrival. It's like we've shown it, and we're going like Kang. Kang could probably be somewhat of a Balut.
A Balut.
Know what I mean? We did so much building him up.
Yeah, and then they just drop it.
That's into a Balut stuff, and boom. Now we're pivoting.
I love it.
Dr. Doom. We're gonna make it so we almost forget about Kang. It's
a nerd vocabulary word invented by Artstar. That's why everyone, man and woman, wants to make love
out there. But we're not going to deal with that anymore.
Okay,
yeah,
they just dropped it. They thought they would, but they always still could, right? And then if they do later,
but Marvel does things. It's some things where some of us sit back and kind of pick apart some of these little things, which you got to give them some credit. Like they have a lot to be dealing with, and sometimes storylines change. But it's like how we have
times change.
Yeah, it's like how we have the thing where Koye say like we're aware of the earthquakes happening under the where the Atlantic used to be. We deal with it by how we deal with it, kind of thing. And people were like, "Oh, it's gonna be Savannah. Oh, they already know about them." But then we get Wakanda Forever. They knew nothing about them. But then the Koye was right there talking about it like she knew about it. And now here's a movie a few years later. It's like we're supposed to have selective memory and forget about things like that. Like we're gonna like how you don't like this movie. It's gonna get to a point where it's like you're gonna totally forget that Star Fox was in this movie.
Yeah, I just wanted it to end, and then he showed up, and I was like, God, now who the fuck is this guy? Just because I was like, all these guys. I will say, watching it a second time, I cared a little bit more about it, but I felt like there was too many characters that are so underdeveloped. They didn't have time to develop the characters, and there are all these and then kind of the plot was confusing. Like, what are you doing now? What are all these things? There's too much to have to try to explain. I wish they would have I don't know what I wish
watching it. Probably about 4. Like I started watching it and I had like 50 minutes left, so I just finished watching it again at around 4. And as it was going off, I felt like it's one of these movies you keep watching and you keep watching it, and it's almost like you're pounding it into your retinas.
Yeah.
To the point like, it's not as bad as I thought it was at the beginning.
Yeah, I
Like,
think once
it's
you kind of
okay.
get it,
It
and
is
I
for what
think
it is.
part of the problem is the storytelling is so non-linear where they're like, oh, now we got to go back and tell you why this
Probably
happened.
not good for your ADD
But
brain.
Not
then
for my, yeah,
also, like
exactly. You're
you
right.
said something earlier when you in your rundown where you said like, oh, now we mentioned, well, even though you didn't say Captain Rogers, now we mentioned Steve Rogers and Iron Man. Now the Eternals are in the MCU. But then it's like because one, it's based on like these Marvel movies are based on comic books and comic book series.
Right.
There's always callbacks throughout, everything. So like even if you don't know see where it fits in, it somehow squeezes in. Like Tiamat, we're going to see, and I can say Shira and She-Hulk,
Oh,
and then there's also coming up, and I don't think they've actually shown it in the trailer, but you see in Captain America: Brave New World, you actually see the Celestial Head. So it's like,
okay.
and then
Oh,
just like they've mentioned certain things in other MCU movies where like nowhere was a Celestial Head.
oh, that was a celestial
Um,
head also.
then you got like way before how they kind of rewrote it, and I think kind of mentioned this when we were doing the Guardians of the Galaxy. We did Volume 2, right?
I
Yeah, we
think
did.
so. Yeah, I think we did.
We
Yeah. So
did.
like, yeah. So
Yeah.
we mentioned how like, they like Ego, how they sit there and kind of made him, and then it was
Wasn't
like, oh, Star-Lord was part Celestial. Ego was planning, but
right.
basically, Ego did basically what Arishem was doing all along anyway. Like they're putting things in these planets so these planets can grow into
Right.
Celestial. That's what
Okay.
Ego was doing
Okay.
when he's putting his splooge in all of these different planets.
Okay. Well,
So
that actually
the
does
Eternals
help
was
me
there.
hate this
It's
less.
just like it was here come their own ensemble movie to introduce them.
Okay.
And we've had stuff dealing with like Celestial.
Now Galactus is a celestial, right?
Yeah. Who?
Galactus.
Galactus is I don't necessarily think they're going to classify him as a Celestial in the MCU.
So he's less than a celestial or greater than a celestial?
I would say they're going to have him greater than.
Because he's kind of got that same type of helmet. That's what made me think but he's got a face. He doesn't have those weird.
Galactus is not a. So this is one of this is one of those things where Andy would be the greatest.
Should I text him and tell him to
No, but
address that?
Galactus was actually, I won't call him a human, but he was actually the character was actually the guy was actually like a space explorer. So it's just one of those things where once you start delving into space comic nerddom and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's like it's easy for us terrestrials, because we think we're the only things, in this whole entire universe for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy for us to be like, yeah, well, he's just a celestial kind of thing, but like, yeah, there's other beings out there, there's other, and like the comic, I'm speaking in the comic world. So like you have like celestials, there's Earth, there's you have Asgardians.
Ass place.
Yeah,
Not an ass
in my
place.
head, I was thinking of Asgardians.
No.
Well,
But
so
you have like all these different other races of people. So Galactus is from another race of people. He's not a celestial.
Gotcha. Sorry if that was a dumb question. But
It
I know his
wasn't.
helmet kind of looked like
It
that.
wasn't.
Okay, but before we get into like what we all thought about this and rating it, Andy has supposedly recorded Andy can't be here, but he's going to record for us a sort of a comics history, and we'll go ahead and cut to that now, and we'll be right back with our feelings.
All right, this is Andy, Professor Andy, logging in for a brief moment to drop some comic knowledge before I go back to taking care of puppies. The training program for service dogs. We're just puppy raisers, just to clarify what Joe said earlier. We have the puppy for 18 months, then we send her off to the actual service dog training program, so we have to get her into shape to do that, but we don't do the actual service dog training. And if we are not sabotaging her chance to be a service dog, but apparently, according to a Hulu documentary called In the Mind of a Dog, about 50% of the service dogs that don't pass that training, so we might get that puppy. Anyway, the Eternals, created by Jack Kirby, comic book legend Jack Kirby, in 1976, after his work at DC Comics on the New Gods, which was a bunch of similar, like, high-minded science fiction stuff, was abruptly canceled before he could finish the story he was telling, so he came back to Marvel and did this. And it was originally like a standalone series, like Watchmen originally was in the DC. It wasn't connected to the 616, but of course Marvel kind of grabs everything eventually. But interestingly enough, this Eternal series also got canceled before he could finish it, which speaks to part of the toughness of getting into this movie is that there is virtually no pop culture presence for the Eternals outside of actual Marvel comics and fairly obscure Marvel comics to boot. And while that wasn't a hindrance for the Guardians of the Galaxy's success, this is a very different style of film. It's worth noting that director Chloe Zhao, the writer, one of the co-writers and the director of the film, actually won the 2021 Best Director Oscar for Nomadland with Frances McDormand, and she's only the second woman to ever win the Best Director Oscar. So that's worth noting. This is a different kind of film, and I really liked what it was going for. It might not have, fired on all cylinders, but it was a admirable attempt, and there's a lot to enjoy in this film. Also, Joe, you're an idiot for not knowing the difference between Selma Hayek and Penelope Cruz. A little brief history. Penelope Cruz was in this really sort of a hit art house film called Open Your Eyes, Abre los Ojos. It's a foreign language film, but she also got to be in the American Cameron Crowe remake of it called Vanilla Sky, which is all about bending reality and stuff. And you may note that if you want to watch a Woody Allen movie, I'm not sure why you would these days, but she was it was a big deal that she was in a movie called Vicky Cristina Barcelona, in which she's in a throuple with Javier Bardem and Scarlett Johansson. So that might be up your alley. Well, as Salma Hayek really splashed onto the scene in the Antonio Banderas film Desperado, Robert Rodriguez film, who did all the Spy Kids movies, and Robert Rodriguez, for some reason I'm doubting I got that name right. But it's her first appearance is really notable in that they cut to her and suddenly it's Salma Hayek and she's freaking gorgeous walking down the street, and in 2 seconds immediately boom, that's our reaction, like, holy crap, that woman's beautiful. And then suddenly there's a car crash on the street with drivers thinking the same thing. They're like, holy shit, like getting distracted at the sight of her beauty. So it was kind of amazing film, or amazing first appearance, and she's been in Sex Symbol since then, From Dusk Till Dawn. She did an incredible snake dance that got people hot under the collar, and more recently she was in the Grown Ups movies with Adam Sandler, so you might have seen those, but they are different people. And she played Frida Kahlo in Frida, which was her passion project, and but also some controversy involving Harvey Weinstein, but I won't get into that. Anyway, the Eternals, created by Jack Kirby. They were actually not created by the Celestials created them. The Celestials were also introduced in the Eternal series in the 70s. And so this is Jack Kirby creating the history of the Marvel Universe, the actual creation of life. But the Celestials came to Earth 1 million years ago and saw the beginnings of the human evolution, and so they mutated. They did some offshoots, created 100 Eternals and then 100 Deviants. The Deviants were more grotesque and stuff. And they mutated them, and then they just kind of left to see what would happen. And then, they boom, we create some stuff, we'll go leave, and then we'll come back later and judge it. Arishem is the judge celestial, and interestingly enough, there's a whole bunch of other celestials, including there is Tiamat, which is interesting that he ends up as the frozen celestial, half emerged from cocoon, because Tiamat is also the dreaming celestial who had a part in X-Men comics recently. He was just sort of standing inert outside of San Francisco for a long time when the X-Men were kind of headquartered there, and there was some kind of involvement there. I don't know too much about it, but that could signal some mutant stuff to come. And also, there was, I'll get into that in a second. There's also some kind of celestial Madonna. This is the only celestial that actually, apparently gives birth the normal way. And there's some storyline in Marvel Comics where Mantis of Guardians of the Galaxy may become the celestial Madonna. So that's interesting. Anyway, the Eternals were given 3 principles to protect the Celestials, to protect the machine known as Earth, because I guess they have an elaborate network of celestial communication and stuff built into the Earth, and they had to correct excess deviation. And there was a storyline recently to try to, I guess, raise the profile of Eternals again in response to the movie, where there was a big crossover where the Eternals decided that mutants were deviants, and therefore they were excess deviation, and then the Eternals went to war with the X-Men, or the mutants, and then the Avengers had to get involved. It was the whole thing. Anyway, back in the day, Olympia, it was just a city in Greece, not a home planet. And, they actually met with the Greek gods, the Olympians, and acted as their representatives on Earth for a while. So the Greek gods are real characters, as Hercules is a real Marvel character. So, Zeus and all those people are. So there's a lot of kind of overlap between the Eternals and the Greek gods, or the Greek legends. The Deviants, however, Joe, Marvel Snap, you may know the location of Lemuria. Lemuria was an underwater kingdom in the Pacific Ocean that the Deviants sort of settled in. There's also Lemurians there as well, that are an offshoot of the Atlanteans, which Namor is, the Submariner, or Submariner. It's probably Submariner. And the Deviants were a little bit more harsh. Crow was one of them. There's also a Lord Gower, who's like the high priest, who's kind of an asswipe. And there was a good storyline in Black Panther comics back in the 90s where there was a war brewing between Lemuria and Atlantis and Wakanda, and somehow Latveria and Doctor Doom were involved, and at the time Magneto was the leader of Genosha, the mutant nation. So it was a really interesting political storyline there. So yes, Lemuria is where the Deviants are. A little short history of the principal Eternals here. Ajak, originally a white dude. Sprite was originally a white boy and kind of a trickster imp. Cersei is a white woman, and she actually joined the Avengers in the early 90s and was sort of like this hedonist character, sort of based on Cersei, the sorceress, who was also a Wonder Woman villain. Druig was kind of a villain who double crosses them often and helps people like Genghis Khan and the KGB. Makari, originally a white dude. Gilgamesh is aka the Forgotten One. He wasn't introduced until 1977. Jack Kirby created the Eternals. It was like Eternals number 13 is when he showed up. And he actually joined the Avengers as well in the late 80s. Also originally a white dude. Kingo, originally a Japanese dude, actually. So that was different. And Phastos was one of the only Eternals in this film not created by Jack Kirby. He wasn't created until 1985 with an Eternals Volume 2 by Peter B. Gillis and Sal Buscema. And he was actually originally a black dude, as far as I can tell. And Icarus, obviously white dude. Interestingly, Thena has a storyline as a white woman. She started that way too. there wasn't a lot of woke thought back in the day. Jack Kirby, most characters were default white back in the day. There was a lot of making up to do. So Eternals was a chance to kind of introduce a whole lot of diversity into the MCU all at once. But Thena has a storyline where she and Crow actually hooked up and had kids during the Vietnam War. So that's a whole thing that was not addressed. And and then the comics have explained the whole fact, because of course the more recent comics introduced these Eternals as their movie incarnations, basically, because they can die and be reborn, and they can change genders and whatever. They're not so adherent to their genders, I guess. And the whole thing where they all combine their powers into one big thing, that's the Unimind. That is a thing from the comics as well. Also worth noting, Star Fox is an Eternal. There's an Eternal offshoot that settled on the Saturn's moon Titan. They never really... Titan is in the MCU, but they just call it a planet. They don't refer to it as Saturn's moon, so it could be Saturn's moon, but it's just a planet to the people that were on Titan, or it's just another planet somewhere. And so Thanos is also an Eternal, but he is an Eternal that has the deviant gene. So he kind of... That's what the big purple ballsack chin is. His whole thing is that he looks like... There's a lot of deviants that have that kind of look. So he's an Eternal deviant hybrid, so he was kind of an outcast, and so he was... that was a whole thing with Thanos. He was born purple as well. They're not usually purple. And Star Fox is interesting because he has the power of like pheromones, and he was always depicted as like the party dude. Everyone loved him and fell in love with him just by being near him. And he always had a good time, and he was a hedonist. And then there was a recent She-Hulk series where it was kind of put in a different light. Like, he's basically a walking roofie. Like, he's just basically mind controlling people and or putting he's influencing people's minds, and so there was a question of whether or not everyone he ever had sex with he was technically raping them by completely basically influencing their inhibitions and their choices with his pheromone power. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, and he was like, no. He didn't realize what that was, and then I think it slowly started to dawn on him. And like, he was an Avenger, and now he's sort of like, yeah. And we're not going to go into the Mandrill, who is like a baboon man who has that same power. So that's a whole gross thing. And then there is Pip the Troll, who also showed up with Star Fox in the tag there. Created by Jim Starlin in 1975, so he predates the creation of the Eternals. But he's just a little dude, and he's voiced by Patton Oswalt in this film. Pip the Troll, I think, deals more with Thanos and stuff. And the other question you had, Galactus is not a Celestial. He's probably a lowercase Celestial, he's not in the Celestials, like the host of Celestials, but he is like a cosmic being. But he's also the lone survivor of the previous universe, before the Big Bang that created the Marvel Universe as we know it. Which is also the seventh cosmos. He was the last survivor of the sixth cosmos, and merged with the sentience of that cosmos to survive, and then have an incubation period, and emerged as the devourer of worlds. And so he's separate from the Celestials proper. But, I think they've come into conflict before. Is that all I had to say? I'm trying to remember. Oh, and for a movie that you didn't like, that we were about to hear a whole lot of interesting discussion as to the meaning of life and the big questions it ponders, which I think was what Chloe Zhao was kind of going for. I will note Sprite storyline. Yeah, this is a couple other things that Joe said. Fastos and his husband is not like my two dads because Greg Evigan and Paul Reiser weren't fucking. Sprite is her storyline, and there's a similar sort of thing with Kirsten Dunst, who is like 11 years old in Interview with a Vampire, and she gets turned into a vampire at 11 years old, and she gets real pissed that she can never grow up. So that was an interesting thing. You have to realize that immortality does not mean invulnerability. Just because you don't age and don't die of natural causes doesn't mean you can't be decapitated or killed. I mean, the Highlanders proved that, but you don't know what the Highlanders are, Joe. And Kumail Nanjiani is not that hard to say. There we go. So yeah, this was a interesting film, a daring effort to just have a completely different kind of vibe and to go into the actual, like, establishing the creation of the planet Earth. And there's a whole interesting thing to be talked about in that there is, how does regular human religion exist in a world where we've seen, and the Celestials were not really robots, they just look like robots. We know they have created life and they've sort of laid the foundations of life. How does, where does Jesus fit in to the celestial universe? Not that most humans are aware of celestials anyway, but there's a thought that, there's a Marvel character called the One Above All that is sort of understood to be the Judeo-Christian God, or the Muslim God, or the Jewish God, the One Above All, or that's so they have room to have Earth religions in this fantastical Marvel universe where fucking Galactus and Celestials exist and do shit to people. Which is not to be confused with, there is a Celestial named the One Above All, who is not that guy, but he's instead just like the head Celestial. And yeah, all right. Enjoy the rest of this discussion of the Eternals, which is very thought-provoking, even if it's got some problems with too many characters that no one is familiar with, and it's hard to get all their stories with emotional impact mixed together. But I would not say any romantic subplot was tacked on. It just makes sense that these characters would form relationships. So, yeah. Fuck off, Joe.
Hey, Phil Burt. I wish there was a dumb YouTube show I could watch where Gen X dumbasses talk about pop culture with random clips of weird shit from the internet inserted throughout.
There actually is a YouTube show just like that, Cheryl. It's called The Gruff and Loud Show. It's by History for Jerks, and it is pretty stupid. Gruff smokes weed, Loud drinks beer, and they talk about He-Man, Ron Perlman, Wilson Phillips, physical education in France, and other random topics.
Holy fucking shit. I'm going to check out The Gruff and Loud Show by History for Jerks immediately.
You should. They are fucking idiots, but they are lovable fucking idiots.
Check out The Gruff and Loud Show on YouTube by History for Jerks. It's stupid, but it's free.
Well, that said, that was a lot. And thank you guys for giving me some feedback on all that. I apologize to Latinas everywhere for not knowing that Penelope Cruz is not Selma Hayek.
Yes, thank you.
Now that I think about, like, looking through the movies, I don't think I've ever seen a single Penelope Cruz thing. And I think I've seen a Selma Hayek something.
Hayek.
I just know the names. There's a lot of actors I know the names of. Not to try to, I admit that was wrong, and it sucks because they're both Latinas, and it seems racist. But
well, very talented Latinas.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, but they're all in stuff like musicals and shit I don't like. I mean, I'm not saying they're in musicals, but they're in stuff that I don't watch. But honestly, I don't watch anything now except for nerd stuff, and that's it. And I don't. Who's got time to watch anything? Or if TBJ tells me to watch it, then I'll watch it. Like The Room. I watched Room, and it's I'm still not over it. Like it upset me
be.
to the core. But Brie Larson's an amazing actress. Then I've never seen Brie Larson in any single thing, even though she's super famous. So I need some like way to know famous people and what to, like when I hear of a famous person and watch them. Maybe I should have just watched movies all this time, like when they come out. I've never,
You gotta know when to plug in. That's the downfall.
yeah, it's just, I think once you start having kids,
And
at least for me, I just unplugged from pop culture.
Look into movies that have other things than explosions in them.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
that
that's
part.
all I do is look for blowing because my wife and I don't even go to see movies anymore, and we never go together. Like last movie we saw together, it's probably Borat, in Chicago, and I don't know because I think once movies got so expensive, it got to be like,
Movies are expensive.
I spent $15 on a ticket and then $15 for popcorn, or all together.
Yeah.
Okay, we spent $95 tonight on a date night, and we hated the movie. So there's no guarantee it's going to be good. And then it's like, shit, I waste all this money. Whereas if it's good, at least, and that's why I go to Marvel movies because I like all of them basically, except this one.
Would you have liked if you went to go see this in the theater? Would you come away happy?
I would have. No, I'd have been like, what the fuck was that? But I also I don't know if I'm just getting dumber, but like I really have to concentrate hard to understand what
We need to get you
else
some
happened.
ginkgo biloba.
Maybe some
Medication.
ginkgo biloba. I got some memory
Ginkgo
issues.
biloba for Joe.
I'm gonna be one of these guys that's on TikTok with dementia that their caregivers are posting. Anyway, now we're back. What did you guys think of this? What did you guys think? I hated it, but it's partly my fault.
I wouldn't say I hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't think of it. I would say the parts I like about it are very unmarvel-like parts. I like the drama of love, the mythology of it all, deciding between your current life and a bigger life. So there are aspects I like a lot, but I wouldn't be like, oh, this is my favorite, because that's a rare thing. But there was enough for me to enjoy it, and there was enough for me to tear up. So if something has me tearing up, it gets a good nod from me.
A little bit extra. And I guess, I did like the existential questions that we all have to ponder. Like, gee, is that how many of us would do the right thing or what we think is the right thing? If the right thing's really like, yeah, you may stop all humanity, but then you've stopped a celestial from being born, and he was going to start a whole bunch of other universes. So you stopped all those people from existing just to save this.
Yeah, but do you get rid of the other ones? And like when Mr. Patel does his "Thank you for fighting for humanity" speech, come on, you telling me you wouldn't save that sucker?
Yeah, I love that guy. That guy was the best part of it.
Save him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, his valet. Yeah, I gotta say, what's his name? Kingo. He was funny. I like him. That whole bit about filming the movie and the documentary and all that stuff was pretty. Hey, did you get this? That was some funny parts. And like I said, I understand it more, so I think I hate it less. But I just think that whole idea is like, I kind of get what the thing. He's planting these everywhere. Why is Earth better than every other planet? Like, I'm sure there's a million planets with people that don't want to die on it, but then more things can't be created if that's just the way it is. I'm not saying it's okay, but
it's like a what you call that? I don't want to say a Pyrrhic victory, but it's like a what you call that? Like it's not along the same vein as like a Pyrrhic victory or Schrodinger's cat or
it's like the philosophical
right. Yeah, so it's
conundrum.
Like that. It's like or I'll say recently, but I just recently was watching Dark Knight Rises, and you have that one scene where the Joker has,
I saw that one.
Given two people. You said you haven't seen it?
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen any of the new Batman.
You have like a boat with prisoners and a boat with quote unquote good people.
Yeah.
And they both have detonators. And like Joker gives them the option to see who's going to kill who kind of thing. And so they all just say like, well, I have a family. They're prisoners, blah, blah, blah. So there's like
but they're
just
still
because we're
people.
bad people,
Yeah.
they automatically kind of thing. So it's like having to make that kind of choice, where it's like there's not necessarily a wrong answer, but then even the good answer is still kind of
sometimes there's no good answer.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think about some of that stuff when I kill. Like I think of it when I kill. I have an ant problem. I live in the middle of the woods, so lately I've been doing those things, the bait things that the ants come and take it back to their nest and then kill them all. And the ants are running up and down my walls. And they're in my territory. I don't feel bad about this until after a week, and they've come back and there's just ant genocide everywhere. Like so many of them are there. Like, those ants from my house gross. But at the same time, that's a whole population of a civilization that I've destroyed just because I don't want them in my house.
So you're like Thanos.
And I feel like I'm Thanos. And then so I started thinking of it like that. I was trying to like do the benefit of the doubt with Erisham. It's like I'm planting these seeds to grow, and they need food, and all. There's just a big Earth is just a big egg, and it's just covered in ants. All the people are just ants that have grown. They're like vermin, and they need to eat them. Like if you, I don't know. So if you're like,
it depends on your perspective, right? If the life I know is this life,
that life. That's a difference. Yeah,
this is the life I know. These are the humans or species I know. Why would I destroy the species I know for an unknown one?
Yeah.
And then like your ant analogy, I think of it this way. If the ants are outside doing their thing, I won't bother them. They're living their life.
Yeah.
Once they come into my house,
you're encroaching.
That's a different territory.
Yeah, but you built your house on their territory.
I didn't build it. And you got to know the rules. You are outside, buddy. You're not inside ants. You live in breathe outside. That's where you are. That's where you build your colonies.
Yeah, but aren't you obligated to tell those ants that?
Listen, Lion King said it's the circle of life.
There you go. Same thing with all the humans. Circle of life. They all need to die so that the celestial can create more.
No, they die naturally. The whole point is in natural order. A celestial being is not natural order.
But until you find out that's the creation of everything. According to this universe, that's all the creation.
But according to this being, right? Who made him the big being of it all?
That's true. He could be wrong.
And see, and not to cut off, but that's another kind of ending kind of plot point. Like he takes them and he goes, I will decide and I will be the judge.
It's like, who made you the judge? Yeah.
Goes away.
Yeah.
Well, Erisham is the judge. That's the thing. Like,
but he's going to come back.
Judge. Yeah. But
does he come back?
We don't know. Like, are they? I think there's been a whole like, are they going to do an Eternals 2? Maybe they won't. Maybe they scrapped it.
It's set up for there to be a 2, but we don't know.
Yeah.
But did people like this when it came out? Do you guys know, or did it get?
I don't think it had a big reception.
See, 2021 was a blur. So even if it was a great movie, 2021 is
that's right. Right. Nobody knew what was
around. And I think it was supposed to come out before. I feel like it was supposed to come out before Black Widow, maybe, or Shang-Chi. One of them.
And they delayed it. Artstar, what did you think?
It was another thing where they promo, like their merch was out for it. Like if you go to Ollie's now, you'll see an ass ton of Marvel Legends Eternal figures and Black Widow figures and Shang-Chi figures. Like these three movies.
If I go where?
At Ollie's bargain basement.
Oh.
Or even Ross.
So it's near you.
But it's like,
there's one in Matthews and one in Monroe.
But it's like you can get your Kumail Nanjiani character figure and you can be like, I can finally say his name. But it's one of those movies that like the pandemic definitely hurt.
Yeah.
And then there's also whatever. So my take on this movie.
Yeah, that's you.
It just came back to me. It's like I look at this like it's like how like if you read comic books usually have a series. Like right now, DC's doing this thing called Absolute Power, which I've not started reading yet. But then you have like one of the series that Andy hates. He's always hated. Civil War was a thing where you had your main book, and then you had like all these other books. Marvel just finished up this one called Blood Hunt, which was dealing with like vampires, and they had like Blood Hunt Jubilee #1, Blood Hunt X-23 #1, and then you had like the main Blood Hunt line. To me, this was a what is it? God damn it, multiverse saga movie in the MCU that was almost like it's a part of the MCU, it's in the multiverse saga, but it's like that standalone issue that I could have read or might not have to read. It's okay if I didn't read it. So just looking at it like that, it's an okay thing, but it's one of those things where it's like if I was reading the whole line, I wouldn't probably pick up the second issue of this because the first issue was like, it's okay, but if I don't have to read it, I probably won't read the second issue. So that's how I kind of feel about this. Like, it's one of those things I'm gonna watch. If you come on to part 2, I'll watch it.
Right.
Because I feel like, I have to, because this is what we're doing, One of these days, this is gonna be lining our pockets. So it's like
yeah, hopefully.
I have to do it.
Your lips to God's ears, as they say.
Would you guys size to our bank accounts?
With Artstar size to our bank account? Yeah, we were talking about before you jumped on, about your OnlyFans. You got to start. But would you guys say, as people who have seen Angelina Jolie movies before, is this representative of her acting? Because I didn't particularly think she did a very good job.
No.
You should check out her in Salt.
Or Girl Interrupted, like your daughter said.
Girl Interrupted. She's pretty. She's kind of good in Wanted, which is also
good in The Changeling.
How have I not seen anything she's ever? I've never seen anything anybody's ever done. Now that I think about it, though.
Watch Girl Interrupted. Since your daughter mentioned it, the coolest Huntaker, I'd say watch it.
Yeah. She. Oh, by the way, I told her I got to go record a podcast with TBJ and Artstar. She was like, "I love TBJ." And I was like, I know you do. Yeah.
I love her too. She's my favorite.
Yeah, they got to hang out at the Pride gathering. Oh, and the parade. We walked together in the parade. That's right.
Yeah. She's my favorite Huntaker.
All right. That makes sense. Yeah, that's what you told her too. She didn't forget that. Anyway.
It's the truth.
Well, thank you guys for doing this, and let's get. So what's the next? What's next? Is it Wakanda Forever next? Or am I jumping? Does anybody know?
I have no idea.
You're jumping.
Because I can't wait to watch it. That I truly haven't seen that yet. I think we're caught up to what I've actually seen.
I think
you haven't seen it yet.
Next would have
been. I haven't because I was waiting for you guys. Because I know I'm going to want to talk about it. You know what I mean? And I know I won't be able to. And I don't want to. I want to find out while we're recording. You know what I mean? So if we're just doing films, Spider-Man: No Way Home's next.
Yeah, No Way Home's next. Yeah.
Then Doctor
if
Strange.
You were doing it in.
Then Thor: Love and Thunder.
Then you would have had Wakanda Forever if you were doing it like what happens in the world, in the verse. But the way we're doing it by year release.
Yeah, I don't care if we want to change. It's up to you guys.
No,
I don't think we should
listen,
change.
We are too deep into this way.
Switch,
because at some point I want to talk about like She-Hulk and Moon Knight and all that.
Don't you worry. We will.
We'll get to it all. We got time.
And soon, one day, we're going to get that bank account that says so, too.
Yes, we'll figure out how to do it. I did create an ad today that I'm going to put somewhere.
And see, then the next two movies, I feel like, especially Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, they're closely tied together.
Yeah.
And then No Way Home, we get some stuff which kind of jumps us into some of the it's some show stuff. Like we get some She-Hulk stuff, some She-Hulk adjacent stuff, and No Way Home.
Okay.
And so all of this stuff, they're all holding hands.
They all go together. They go together real bad.
Okay, let me see if let me see if I can play this for you. Okay, thank you guys for listening.
in the streets, still poor. Still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons and people thinking this
The Nerd
election.
School Podcast is a product of History for Jerks and a member of the Queen City Podcast Network. Find out more about History for Jerks at historyforjerks.com. Check out the Gruff and Loud Show on YouTube, a show with two jackass Gen X dudes drinking beer, smoking weed, and rambling about pop culture. Also, check out the American Timelines podcast featuring Joe and Amy. It's true crime meets history and pop culture. There's also a dumb t-shirt shop on Threadless created by History for Jerks. You can buy a Gordon Jump shirt or an Edie McClurg shirt. It's really dumb and stupid.